Hey, what's going on YouTube? My name is Johnson, and in this video I'm going to share with you how you can invest in multifamily properties with low to no money down. Alright, before we jump into the video, let's quickly talk about what multifamily properties are and how they are valued. Okay, so multifamily properties are as simple as they sound. Essentially, it's a single building that contains multiple units. Right? Some examples could be a duplex, which has 2 units, a triplex, a quadplex, and sometimes it can go up even to 250 units, like a resort or like hotel. Now, in terms of how they're valued, there's a very important distinction that you have to make between a small multifamily and a commercial property. A small multifamily is anything that's less than a 5 unit, so your duplex, triplex, quadplex. Now they're considered residential properties, which they're valued based on comparables, versus your commercial properties, which are anything that's a 5 unit and up. So those commercial properties are valued based on the income that they produce. Right? So that's a very important distinction that you have to make before going forward. Alright, now that we know what multifamily properties are and how they're valued, let's talk about how you can invest in one of those with low to no money down. The first way that we have is through family and friends. You ever have that uncle or aunt that always talks about real estate investing but never taken any action? Well, now's your chance to start the conversation with them during family gatherings. And the good thing about this strategy is that you already have hopefully a good relationship with them, and it's just an easy conversation to have with them when you're ready to take down a deal. Now, the bad thing is that, you have to mix business with family, right? So sometimes that can get a little out of control, and it's a dynamic you have to learn how to manage over time. Now, one tip I can give you is when you're doing this, make sure you have everything in writing so that everyone knows what their expectations are and what roles they're in. Since we're on the topic of raising money from other people, the second way that you can do this is through investors. Now, the concept has been around for a very long time. You raise money from investors, and by them giving you money, in exchange, you give them a percent ownership or a fixed return on the deal. Now, the good thing about this is that if you develop the right skills and learn how to raise money, you'll be able to close as many deals as you like. Now, the bad thing about this is that you would have to learn and take the time to cultivate these skills, and these skills take some time. Now, another thing is that you are taking on more risk since you're using other people's money, right? So make sure you know what you're doing and make sure you have someone that you can go to when you need those advice. The third way you can do this is through owner or seller financing. Now, instead of you going to the bank and lining up and getting a mortgage, you can go to the seller and ask if they would be open to a seller finance deal. That way, you don't have to make the payment to the bank. The seller becomes the bank and you make payments to the seller. This creates a win-win situation for you, since you don't have to waste your time at the bank and you might not even get approved at the bank. And for the seller, they'll be able to get a consistent monthly check. You might ask, like, why would anyone want to do this though? Right? Why would any seller want to do this? Well, think of someone who's near their retirement age and they don't want to manage their property anymore, but they're still looking for that consistent monthly paycheck. This creates a win-win situation. Now, the good thing about this is that the terms of the deal can be whatever you and the seller agree to. Bad thing though is you have to find sellers that are willing to do this. So it just takes some time and a couple phone calls. The final way that you can do this is through subject to. Now, essentially, this concept is just you taking the payments over for the seller. Right. Now, this situation might come up when, the interest rate increased and the sellers aren't able to make the monthly payments anymore. So you will offer to help by saying, hey, look, I get it. I'd be happy to take the payments over for you in exchange for the title of the property. Now, this creates a win-win situation where you help the sellers move on without going through foreclosure, because that can leave a dent in their credit score, and you don't have to go to the bank and line up and get a mortgage. Now, the downside though is that you have to find sellers who are open to this. One tip I can give you is when you're talking to these sellers, make sure you have a helping mindset. Alright, so those are the ways that you can invest in multifamily properties with low to no money down. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you at the next one.